nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Hacktivac Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada de 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeach, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeach, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar cómo el área donde el Sanedrín se reunía para hacer sus juicios, y también se ha agregado un color azul en donde está el lavacro, para así poder distinguir las diferentes áreas. Les agradecemos mucho a cada uno de ustedes, especialmente a la comunidad latina, por estarnos acompañando. Pueden ir a Jerusalem Temple Studies y buscar la opción tienda o store en inglés y luego buscar modelos del templo y ahí podrán obtener el suyo. Bendiciones y gracias por su apoyo. Shalom.
All right. I'm sorry. I had a disaster like just minutes before we went on. my computer shut down, and it took me a few minutes to even get it back up. And I apologize um, on everything there. I've got a few announcements before we start. Um, I want to ask for prayer for a number of people, and then we've got uh, a a situation. I don't know what's going to happen, but please be praying for Grayson Jeffords. He has had a bad, a rough week. Um, he will be coming here on April 20th. He has been accepted at MD Anderson Hospital, which is the leading cancer hospital in the country, in the world, in fact, I think. So we're very excited about that, but please be praying for him. And be praying for the Justin Potts family. Be praying for his father. Um, be praying for his aunt, Barbara DeCamp. Uh, and be praying for Justin. I mean, it's just uh, there is extreme sickness. There are all types of problems that are taking place in this family and have been for over a year. Um, in fact, more than that. And so please be praying for them. I ask you also to um, you just right now it seems like people everywhere are being attacked with major sicknesses, major financial problems, all types of things. So it's a time that we all need to be in prayer. Now I don't know how many of you have heard, we are at the 8 o'clock deadline time, and it was announced right before, just a few minutes ago, that a peace deal, supposedly for 2 weeks, but people are saying it's a peace deal, has been reached between the United States and Iran. I don't know if that includes Israel. And I'm very, very skeptical of any peace deals, ceasefires with Iran. They don't keep their promises. A leopard doesn't change its spots. And if there's a peace deal, I hope, pray that President Trump will be an honorable man and that he will stand by his allies and stand by the Iranian people. So let's pray that that uh, becomes uh, becomes a reality where there really is peace, there is a new regime, that the Iranian people uh, have their freedom, where all the proxy groups of Iran, the Hezbollah, the Hamas, the Houthis, all the various groups, they also would would cease to be enemies. One thing that really concerns me here is that the attitude in Islam is that you can make a peace deal, but you're still an enemy, and you immediately prepare for your next encounter. And so uh, it's a time for us to be watchful. Okay. We are in the last days and major things are occurring. And I think it's no coincidence that we are now, if you're on the West Coast, even New Mexico, um, uh, you are not yet into the holiday, to the Yom Tov. In fact, it's not official here yet. We still have daylight outside, but as soon as it gets dark, we are in the Yom Tov that concludes Pesach, and it'll end on Thursday in the diaspora and into more at sundown, but on Thursday at sundown. And so these as you people already know that major events occur on these days. And so here we are. All right. Now, I hope that all of you had a tremendous Passover. Had uh, we had a fantastic one, in my opinion. Here, we had a lot of people. First night, it was a small group, about 13, 14 people, but it was very good. We had people from Alabama, Florida, Georgia, uh, Tennessee, Kentucky, um, from all around. The next night, we had about 70 people. And then the next night, we had a house full of people. I mean, it was uh, bursting at the seams for the Shabbat meal. We put up a big tent in our backyard, and so we had too many people to meet in the house. We had to meet out there, and then on Shacharit um, we had people here for Shacharit and all day through Havdalah, and uh, people were still here at midnight. Since then, Debbie and I have been working to get the tent taken down and start getting things put back away. But it's been a very, very hectic time. Due to that, I was not able to put together a PowerPoint. But there's some very, very uh, very interesting things that we're going to go into tonight. Um, I'm going to all right. Let me get back where I can see you. I was setting something up. Um, and we're going to discuss Pesach. Now, we're going to discuss Pesach in the current days. Okay. But we're also going to discuss Pesach. Um, I'm getting all kinds of messages that okay. Hold on. I'm trying to get things set up. When my computer cut off, basically I had to restart everything. Well, all right. Okay. We're going to talk about Pesach, as I mentioned. Um, and you might not realize this, but this particular year, we came very, very close to a Pesach lamb actually being offered on the Temple Mount. So I want to discuss some of this as we go through. Um, and I got to get my papers somewhat organized here, but okay. Uh, we are approaching the time that the Pesach offerings will once again be offered for the first time in 2,000 years. As I said, we were on the verge of this year. There were three rabbis in particular that are the leading authorities on this, that were ready to go with it, were pushing for it to happen. Now, I understand that in Jerusalem, and the shops are not open, the schools are not being attended, uh, the restaurants, it's not so easy to go out to a restaurant right now because of all the sirens that sound, the missile warnings, everybody having to go the to the shelters, and so everything's interrupted. One of the places that is 100% shut down, not only to the Israelis, but is also shut down to the Muslims, is the Temple Mount. And so the hope was that under these circumstances, that they would get a special permission to be able to go up on the Temple Mount. Now, the Temple Institute, as well as other organizations working with them, have put together a kosher altar. Back years ago, when they first started this project, I had conversations with some of the rabbis that were involved. I saw the videos of them taking the stones out of the Dead Sea. They had a special way that they would package these stones. They would treat them with a certain way because there is a prohibition. The reason they were taken from the Dead Sea anciently, they were not. They were taken from a riverbed, and they dug down in the riverbed with wooden paddles and took these stones and used them. So in the current time, they went to the Dead Sea. The restriction is it doesn't have to be the Dead Sea. It doesn't have to be the riverbed. It has to be stones that you can be 100% sure that no metal has ever touched them. And so they built an altar. Now, the altar is kosher, is built in the correct fashion, the correct style, but there is a major difference. The altar, let me see, I'd like to show you a picture if I can. Let me see if I can spot a book real quick. Give me a second. Check another book. I didn't find the book I was looking for, but I'm hoping that this will have what I need. The altar at the Second Temple period was 32 cubits by 32 cubits. Right. I'm going to use this illustration. It's not the best, but we're going to use it. Okay, so the altar has several parts. There are three major parts down at the bottom right here. Okay, this is what is called the yesod. Okay, so it's 1 cubit high and it's 1 cubit deep. Then you go up from there, and there's a walkway that goes around the altar right here. There's also a red line right above that, but the walkway is called the Savi. And then you go up to the top, you have the top, and you have the kernot. These are the horns of the altar. Over here, this is to the south. This is the kevish, and you see there's a little ramp that comes down. This is called the kevish gadol, meaning the main kevish or the main ramp, and this is the kevish yesod because it goes down to this right here. Okay. Now you have another one on the other side that goes up on the other side to the Saviv, and it's called the Kevish Saviv. Okay. I wish I had another picture. Now, one thing that's very important is it's not going to show it here. I'll try to get another illustration that I can show you. Um, I've got a actual model of the altar here, but it's way too big to be able to show you out of it. Give me a second. This is um this is a book by Rabbi Menachem Makov. You can see it's in Hebrew, but this is on the Second Temple, and you see right here we see the altar. Now I'm going to try to get a better picture of the altar. Here we can see one. You see down at the bottom there's the Yesod. Let me see if I can. All right, this will work. This is a Temple Institute drawing, but here we have the Yesod, the foundation, is going to be on your northern side. It'd be 1 cubit on the eastern side here, right here, and then it's 1 cubit on the southern side. So it is only fully on the north and the west. Okay, now that's going to become important. Um, and so the eligible area where they can put the blood is only above the yesod. So you're not allowed to put it on the side with the kevish except right here, nor are you allowed to put it on this side. Okay. What I'm talking about is the blood of the Passover lamb. And so let me stop sharing for a moment. Okay. So the altar that they built is not 32 cubits square. In fact, it's kosher. It's got the least amount of dimensions that it can have, and they have it on a flatbed truck, a flatbed trailer, and it sits there. And the idea was that with the Muslims off the map, getting a special permission from the authorities that they might be able to come in and to offer this Pesach lamb. Okay. Now we're going to talk about many questions concerning that because there are things that you would not realize in the first place. But the permission was not granted. And it's actually a good thing because there's a problem. Now, I want to show some pictures. I got to grab the pictures. These are pictures that are off my walls here in my office. And let me share my screen. All right, we're going to switch lights. Okay, so this, let me get my little pointer. Let me find it once again. Okay, so from here, this is the southern end. In fact, you can see it goes back a little bit further. Okay, this is the Al Aqsa Mosque. Very key. Right here, we have what's called the Al Quds Fountain. And then you see there is a quadrangle right here. This is called the Muslim platform. And close to the middle, but a little bit to the south, we have the Dome of the Rock. And more specifically, this would be your eastern side. This is the Dome of the Chain. Okay. Over here, this is where the Antonia was. It was up here and I believe came down into the Temple Mount right here. Now, I want to show you another picture. This you're able to see how that the Muslim platform is built up. Okay, so let me show you right here. You see here, that's bedrock. Now look over here. This is bedrock here. Okay, and we have an outcropping of bedrock here, but you can see that this has been built up. Now, underneath the Dome of the Rock, there is visible bedrock. I mean, that's exactly what the Dome of the Rock is about. And uh, that this is where the temple was located. Okay. Now we believe that where the rock is outcropping here is actually not where the Holy of Holies was, but it was further to the back in this area. That's for another time. That's another message. But one of the requirements that we have on the uh, uh, on the altar. Uh, I want to cover a question first, and then we're going to talk more about this altar and why they were unable to do it. I want to go to the book of Ezra, and out of Ezra, we're going to go to chapter 3. One of the questions people will ask me, especially when during the weekend as we talked, uh, uh, as we were going through on the Shabbat, I took people through a beginning rehearsal. I asked a number of questions concerning, excuse me, concerning the temple and concerning the possibility of them offering a Pesach lamb. One of the questions I got was, don't you have to have the temple rebuilt first? No, you don't. And so I want to go to the book of Ezra. We're going to go to chapter 3 of Ezra, and we'll have a biblical example, which anytime we have where in the Tanakh it gives us information that is the strongest information you're going to get. So when we're told in Ezra chapter 3, verse 1, and when the seventh month had come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered together as one man in Jerusalem. Then Yeshua, the son of Jehozadak, and the brethren, and his brethren, the priests, the Kohanim, and Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, he's the governor appointed by the Persians, and his brethren arose and built the altar of the God of Israel to offer burnt offerings on it, as it is written in the Torah of Moshe, the man of God. Now we're going to go to verse 6. From the first day of the seventh month, they began to offer burnt offerings to the Lord, but the foundation of the temple of the Lord had not yet been laid. So if you have an altar, then you don't have to have the temple building at that time to begin. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of wing stuff as we go through. Is that all you have to have? An altar to start? Well, you have to have the animals, you have to have the conditions, but structural wise, all you have to have is an altar. However, once you have started the services, you or by scripture, you have to continue building. Okay, you have to build. Hashem did not say, build me an altar. In Shemot chapter 25, he said, build me a temple. But you're able to start. And I think that more than likely the first offering will be a Pesach offering because it would catch the most attention. I'm not necessarily saying that the rabbis would say, hey, if we did it at Pesach, it would catch the most attention. I believe that it's going to happen when God opens the door. Okay. It's not going to happen when man contrives to do it. Okay. But it's going to be in the timing of Hashem. But what I really suspect is that it will be a Pesach lamb and it will catch worldwide attention. Much of it positive. Oh, but a bigger amount negative. Okay. I mean, you're going to have Christianity is going to be raising the roof. Okay. You're going to have all kinds of the Muslims are going to be let's fire up the missiles. Okay. It's not going to be an easy thing, but so we've got an altar, and while it's not the size, the idea was they could bring this altar in and unload it off the truck, put it on the Muslim platform. And I'm going to go back to the picture here. It would be basically in the area over here. This is what's called the Dome of the Chain. This is the Dome of the Rock. Okay. And so the Dome of the Chain, the altar is going to be right in this general area right here. Okay. And that's where they would do it. Now, I got a call about a week and a half ago from Victor Schultz. And Victor writes for Israel 365. He writes for a number of publications in Israel, online publications and so forth. And so we talked about the altar. We talked about the various. Can they do it? Can they do it? First thing that people will ask was, wait a minute, wait a minute. What about the red heifer? Okay. Don't we have to have a red heifer before we can offer a Pesach offering? Okay. So I want to show you, and I'll switch from this to, I got to find the right set of papers. Just a minute. Okay, so we're going to cover, do they have to have a red heifer in order to offer the Pesach offering? Because as you know, the red heifer has been a major item in the news and in my talks and many other people's talks. And so, all right, let me find exactly where I need to go here. All right, here we go. These are some of my worksheets. And I had to very much use AI this time because we're dealing with numbers. I mean, big numbers, and trying to figure out impossible situations. And my math is just not that good. All right. All right. Now, let me show you my original question. Here are questions that hopefully we will answer. In Pesachim 5a, this I wrote. The cups of the Pesach lamb's blood are mentioned. They are usually shown for Pesach with a handle. Where are these described? What is their size? How much blood are they required to attain? How long would it take the bowl to fill to this size? How long would it take to get a lamb in the proper position for slaughter, to perform the slaughter and move the lamb from the slaughtering point and replace it with another lamb? Where in the Talmud does it state that the ashes of the para adamah, the red heifer, are not required when most of the people have corpse impurity, thereby allowing the slaughter of korbanot for moedim, for appointed times? All right. Yeah, that's the question. And here is the sources. And this is a partial listing of sources right here on the Tumah question. That's the impurity. The purity impurity question. The core source is Mishnah Pesachim 7:6 and the Bavli Pesachim 79a. All right. I'm going to stop sharing and let me grab the books first so I can read them to you. Okay. Wrong book. Pesach 7:6. I'm not going to read it out of the Talmud. Just, I think one will be sufficient. We've got way too much material. Let's stop sharing for a moment. All right. Now we'll share. Okay. And so now this is 7:6. If the community or the majority become unclean. Now, the uncleanness here, we're talking about corpse impurity. You can see that they become unclean because of contact with a corpse. Or the priests were unclean and the community clean, it may be performed in uncleanliness. If the minority of the community became unclean, the clean one observes the first and the unclean the second. All right. So you can see that I'm not just telling you that that. Now there is an actual place in the Talmud, and I haven't located it yet. It's not a matter of that it's going to be that hard to locate. It's been a matter of time. For the last week, we have been Pesaching, and we've had a tremendous amount of people here, which praise God, it was fantastic. But now we're in the process of before the rain started on Thursday, trying to get the tent down, trying to get everything put away. And so there hasn't been time to get into the books, but there is a passage in the Talmud. And it says, not only for the Pesach, but the Tamid. And for the Musafim, okay, a Musaf offering is for holy days and Shabbat, okay, for Rosh Hodesh. These are appointed times, okay, and so for all of these, you do not have to have a red heifer on the condition that the majority of the people are impure, okay. Now, we have another problem. So the red heifer is not a problem, not this year. And my personal opinion is if they were to offer the a Pesach offering, that it would generate multitudes of temple interest. It's also going to generate multitudes of anti-Semitism. But the people of Israel would rise up, and I think that the government will work with the rabbis in order to have a red heifer offering. Okay, and I have no doubt whether it's the 4 remaining red heifers or it's others, God will provide a red heifer that meets the qualifications at the appropriate time. Okay, but there's another problem, and so I mentioned that I had a talk with Victor Schultz, and this is what we discussed. He put together a film. And so I want to see if I can share that film with you. I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear it. And
So, what if the key to renewing one of history's most significant ancient rituals wasn't really about politics or even faith, but about a single, unbreakable architectural rule? Today, we're digging into the bedrock requirement, this surprising engineering and legal puzzle that stands between a 3,000-year-old tradition and any chance of a modern revival. For, literally millennia, the Passover offering, the Korban Pesach, was an absolute cornerstone of Jewish practice. And look, this wasn't just a tradition. It was a central commandment, something performed at the temple in Jerusalem. That powerful history, you can imagine, fuels a really powerful desire to see this ritual brought back today. So, okay, if the will is there, what's stopping them? Now, sure, politics and logistics are huge hurdles, no doubt about it. But the real obstacle, the one we're talking about today, is something way more fundamental. It's this complex, technical, legal puzzle that's literally written into the blueprints of the temple itself. To really get this, you have to understand that the location for the altar was never just a suggestion. It wasn't like, oh, just put it somewhere on this hill. No, according to the texts, it's a precise set of three-dimensional coordinates, a very specific point in space, laid out in a divine blueprint. And that blueprint has a name, the Tavnit. The best way to think about it is like a sacred architectural plan from on high. This divine pattern dictates the exact layout, the exact specs for the temple, and all its key parts, including, of course, the sacrificial altar. And this isn't a plan you can just improvise on. Every single detail is seen as unchangeable, absolutely essential. So, if we're thinking of this as a 3D puzzle, right? Let's start with the first two dimensions, the X and Y coordinates. Where exactly on a map is this altar supposed to be? This is the hunt for its horizontal location. And you know what? This part of the puzzle is pretty much solved. There's a tradition, passed down all the way since the time of King David, that points to a fixed, unchangeable spot inside the temple courtyard, or the Azara. And as you can see here, both modern scholarship and ancient sources place this spot right near the structure we know today as the Dome of the Chain. And that brings up the big question, right? If we have a really good idea of the horizontal coordinates, the X and the Y, then what's the big deal? What's the holdup? Well, it's because we haven't talked about the most critical dimension of all, the Z coordinate, the vertical one. Okay, this is it. This is the heart of our entire explainer. It's a rule that's ancient, it's non-negotiable, and it creates a massive, massive modern problem. It's the unbreakable bedrock rule, the law that governs the altar's vertical position. It all comes down to this one single line from the book of Exodus: "An altar of earth you shall make for me." Now, on the surface, that sounds pretty straightforward, but the way it's interpreted in Jewish law is incredibly specific, and it has these huge architectural consequences. See, according to the traditional interpretation, the oral law, altar of earth isn't about what the altar is made of, it's about what it's connected to. The law requires, it demands, that the altar has to be built in direct, unmediated contact with the original natural ground, the bedrock. You simply cannot build it on top of paving stones or on an arch or on layers of man-made fill. It has to touch the earth. And get this isn't some minor detail or a stringency that rabbis added later on. Nope, it's what's known as a d'Rabbana requirement. That means it's a law that's considered to come directly from the Torah itself. It's part of the core operating system, not just some app you can ignore. It's fundamental. And the rule here is totally black and white. There's no gray area. If the altar is built directly on natural bedrock, it's valid, it's kosher. If it's built on literally anything else, paving stones, fill, a support beam, it's invalid. It fails the command, and any sacrifice offered on it would be considered completely void. So how does this ancient law create such a huge, modern physical problem? Well, this is where the theory collides head-on with the reality on the ground today, and it reveals this critical vertical mismatch. And that mismatch has a number, about 6 cubits. We're talking something like 9 or 10 feet. To put that in perspective, just picture a one-story building. That is roughly the vertical distance between the current platform of the Temple Mount and the original bedrock where the altar has to be built. So how in the world did we get this gap? Well, basically, history built it, layer by layer. Way down at the bottom, you've got the original bedrock, the actual authentic floor of the ancient temple courtyard. Then, piled on top of that, you've got centuries of artificial fill, just rubble, debris from all the different construction and destruction cycles. And then, way up on top, you have the current paved level platform that we all see today. So the consequence here is just unavoidable. According to the legal analysis in our source, if you built an altar on the current surface, it would basically be floating, in a sense, 9 or 10 feet above its required foundation. It would be separated from the earth by all this man-made material, and that separation would make it and any sacrifice on it legally invalid. Period. Okay, so we've laid out this massive 6-cubit problem. The next question is obvious. What do you do about it? And this is where the analysis shifts from just identifying the problem to proposing what it sees as the only legitimate path forward. So, what's the plan when the ground is literally in the wrong place? The analysis argues pretty strongly against any symbolic gestures or trying to find shortcuts. Instead, it points to a much more fundamental first step. First, let's talk about what doesn't work. You might think, hey, why not just do a simplified ritual?
All right. I hope that you were able to see that. Now, we're going to take this a little bit further. We'll go back to this picture. And we have our Muslim platform. So basically, in order to be able to do a Korban Pesach using this altar that they have on a flatbed trailer, once they get it up there, they're going to have to take it off, but they will have to dig the foundation or remove these paving stones to get down the bedrock. Okay, and so Victor sent this article to one of the major rabbis that spoke English, and he requested that the article be sent. No, this was not the video. This was an article that he wrote, that it be sent directly to these three rabbis. But first, they had to be translated into Hebrew. They don't read English. Okay, so we'll see. But I'm not sure why they didn't do it or attempt to do it, but this is a factor that we have in there. So we have that it has to be on bedrock. And if you remember, I believe in the video it said that about 12 feet between the bedrock, maybe it's just 6 feet, but it's the equivalent of the first floor of a building. Okay. And between that and the present level of the Dome of the Rock, or the level of the Muslim platform. Okay, now, how important is this? Certainly, it's important for any offering that you have that's going to be offered. That's going to have to be done. They will have to strip off at least the section where the altar is, which means Israel has control of the Temple Mount, not on a temporary basis, but on a permanent basis. Okay, and that they strip it off, and that they can go forward from there, seeing what's underneath. Now, how important is this? Important for anything else? Very definitely. So, I want to put my model up here. And we've got to do some changes on the model. This is not something that is just brand new. It's something that we've been working on for well over a year. And right here, you can see the altar. Let me get my little thing. You can see the altar. And this is the Azarah. We're going to talk about this area, all of this right here. And we have in front of the Azarah, we have, let me get here, let me see. Let's try a different light. Okay. So this gate and this wall right here, at least in front of right in front of the temple building, this section we know is much, much thicker than we have in our model. We also know that this particular gate, this is the Nicanor gate, we have it done at 20 cubits, which is what the rabbis see it as, and it's based upon I'll leave the model up there. It's based upon that it says all the gates there were 20 cubits high. Okay, so that's a 20 cubit gate. Only thing is, this gate is attributed to this courtyard, not to this courtyard. And so we know based upon based upon a passage I'm going to read to you out of the Tractate Kelim, that they used a 6 handbreadth cubit here in the Azarah. Now we're able to prove that outside of the Azarah, they used a smaller cubit, a 5 handbreadth cubit. And so the question is, when it says all the gates there, we can understand that two ways. One way would be all the gates of the Temple Mount, period, were 20 cubits high. And all the gates there could also mean all the gates to the Azarah. There could be also that all the gates there were 6 cubits high. I use a 6 handbreadth cubit. Okay. So I want to read a text, and let me see where I put it. Okay. And the purpose of reading this text has to deal with, can we just be ballpark with our measurements, or do we have to be exact? Do we have to be precisely exact? Do we, as in the video, it said that the altar has to be at its exact location? Can we move it over a little bit? Can we make it this way, that way? Whatever. Okay, so this is Kelim 1710. Okay, Kelim means vessels. It is in the order Taharot, which deals with purities and impurities. Rabbi Meir says all the amot, all the cubits were average, except those of the golden altar. Okay, so I want you to read right here where it says all the amot, all the cubits used in the temple, and it's going to reference the Talmud Bavli, Menachot 97a, were average. In other words, 6 handbreadths, except those of, but notice it says all the amot were average, and they said in the temple. Okay, I would change that. I believe it would be in the Azarah, the inner courtyard. Okay, so in other words, 6 tefachim, except those of the golden altar. Now, the golden altar is inside the temple building. That's where you burn incense. We're going to see another video shortly, and you'll see a model of the altar of incense. And the horn, well, what's the horn? Oh, the horns are on the outer altar. That's the Kernot. And the Sovav, oh, well, that's that platform that goes around the outer altar, and the Yesod, the foundation. Now, I found my book while you were watching the video. I found the book I was looking for. Let me move the Mishnah text. And all right. So here we're able to see the we're on the eastern side, so this is and this is the east, Mizrach, and then here's Dorom. This is the south where the Kevish is, and so this is Zafun, which is the north, and then here is Marav, the west. Okay, and do you see there is a Yesod here, but there's no Yesod there. See that? That's very important. It's going to be tremendously important. Let me see if I can see from the only one that we can't see is the west. I mean the north. Let me see if I can find one of the north. This is going to be again looking from the west. Okay. East. All right. I don't want to use up the time here on this. Okay. At any rate, I want to go back and read the Mishnah text one more time because this blew me away when I read it. So all the cubits were average, meaning they were 6 handbreadths, except for the altar of incense and the outer altar. Now, it means that if you're talking about the horizontal measurement is going to be done in 6 handbreadths, okay? Just like everything else in Nazarah. But on the vertical, remember Victor's video had the vertical, okay? And so the vertical, we have to have the altar is sitting on bedrock. And they were told in the Mishnah that they used a smaller cubit, a 5 handbreadths cubit. That's going to be 3.04 inches or 3.08 inches shorter than the 6 handbreadths. Now, when you start figuring that that's 10 cubits high, well, you're talking over 30 inches. Oh, my goodness. That is approaching a whole yard. Okay? And so that's short. Why? And the gate, I mentioned that the gate, the Nicanor gate, had to be higher. It can't be 20 cubits. It has to be actually, according to Josephus, and we've actually proved it is 40 cubits high, the gate opening. The entire structure is 50 cubits high. There's a reason. And it links to the red heifer. It links to the red heifer and some other things, but the Kohen that slaughters the red heifer over at Hor HaMishpah, the Mount of Anointment, has to be able to look from that point over the eastern wall of the court of the women, through the gate, and if they used a 6 handbreadths cubit for 10 cubits, it would have blocked his view. Everything has to be exact. Everything has to be correct. Okay? Because it doesn't work unless you have it correct. All right. We're going to stop and go to break for just a few minutes. And when we come back, we've got some more questions. I think that this is going to blow you away. And we've got another little videos to watch. It'll be about 2 minutes long, but it's really fascinating. Okay.
Shalom, mi nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Active Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada a 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeach, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeach, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar cómo el área donde el Sanedrín se reunía para hacer sus juicios, y también se ha agregado un color azul en donde está el lavacro para así poder distinguir las diferentes áreas. Les agradecemos mucho a cada uno de ustedes, especialmente a la comunidad latina, por estarnos acompañando. Pueden ir a Jerusalem Temple Studies y buscar la opción tienda o store en inglés y luego buscar modelos del templo y ahí podrán obtener el suyo. Bendiciones y gracias por su apoyo. Shalom.
All right. Um, we're we're back from the break. I want to mention the prayer requests that I had before. Please be praying for Grayson Jeffords. Okay, and he has colon cancer, and please be praying for him. He's had a rough go of it. This will be um, he's had 3 surgeries already. Please be praying for the Justin Hotz family. I'm going to mention also, please be praying for Dana Ricone and her 2 daughters. They had some major things happen in their life this past week. I won't go into them, but major things. Now, you can help us. Please if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please share. If you are on Facebook, hit the follow us button. On YouTube, if you subscribe, it helps us tremendously. And I was just told that we've had a lot of people subscribe. So if you would do that again, it will help us to continue to be able to put things out. Now, towards the end, I'm going to have questions. There should be a lot of questions tonight and comments. Some of the things that we're hitting, and we will be hitting some major things. Now, uh, also, if Spanish is your primary language and you understand better in Spanish on YouTube, not while it's live, but in the follow up, you can go and you can um, hit the subtitles and or closed caption, and it will give it to you in Spanish. Okay, all right, we're going to get going. And I talked to Victor during the break, and I actually cut the video off a little bit short. So we're going to go back because I want to pick up the last part of it. And
ritual right on the current surface? Well, it's a non-starter. As you can see, it fails on every single critical point. The base is invalid, the elevation is way too high, it doesn't have the required altar structure, and so what if the key to renewing one of history's most significant ancient rituals wasn't really about politics or even faith, but about a single, unbreakable architectural rule? Today, we're digging into the bedrock requirement, this surprising engineering and legal puzzle that stands between a 3,000-year-old tradition.
All right, let me try one more time. I'm going to guess that I got an incomplete video from him. Yeah, that's the video that I have. He had another thing that was dealt with what we were just discussing about the line of sight coming through the Nicanor gate. Okay, but the altar has to be shorter. All right. Okay. Now we're going to move into another aspect of this of the current Passover question. Can we have a Passover lamb? Big question. I've got a text here I want you to look at in just a moment. And one of my questions is, will they, when they offer Passover lamb, will they have one lamb? Will they have 2 lambs? I mean, for the initial start, the start of we're going to slaughter for Pesach, is there a restriction on how many lambs they must have as a minimum? And the answer is yes. Okay. So let me put this text up here. And if you happen to have the Art Scroll commentary, it will actually go into more detail. This is the Kahati, but we have in Pesachim 5:5, it says the Pesach was slaughtered in 3 groups, as is written in the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slaughter it. And so you have three words: assembly, congregation, and Israel. The first group entered. The temple courtyard was filled. They closed the doors of the temple courtyard. They sent a tekiah, a teruah, and again a tekiah. The priests stood row upon row, holding in their hands silver bowls and gold bowls. The whole of one row had silver, and the entire other row had gold. They were not mixed. The bowls did not have flat bottoms, lest they set them down and the blood congeal. Okay. Now I want you to look at the notes in here. And it says the Pesach was slaughtered in three groups. The public was divided into three groups who slaughtered their Pesach offering, one after the other. We're right here, as it is written, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slaughter. Assembly, congregation in Israel, implying there is a commandment to slaughter the Korban Pesach in three groups. The Gemara states that a group had to contain a minimum of 30 people. If all, let's go back to this part, implying that there is a commandment to slaughter the Korban Pesach in three groups. In other words, you can't just slaughter one, and you have to have a minimum of 30 people. If altogether there were 50 people, 30 would go in first, Tim would leave, and Tim would enter. And once again, Tim would leave and Tim would enter. And so it goes forward from that. So let's stop. You can't just have a Pesach offering. You have to have a minimum of 50 Pesach offerings. All right. Now we have a problem. And let me see if I can find a book. I had it earlier. It's going to show you the, here we go. I put it where I wouldn't lose it, and I lost it. Okay, so I want to show you a picture. All right, this is from the Temple Institute. This is an illustrated edition of the Kahati Mishnah Tractate Pesachim. And let me show you the cover. This one's all in English. The others are in Hebrew, but you can see it's Pesach. And I don't even know if they published, I bought this probably 20 years ago. But these are the vessels, and you'll notice there's a handle on them. And so I searched today, actually using AI to do this because I just didn't have the time to apply to it. But there is no commandment that you have this handle. However, the handle makes great sense. We're going to talk about the size of these bowls, these vessels. And let me get here. I got another picture I want to show you. Here we go. Now, this picture does not work. Okay, so you see right here, this is the north side of the altar. Okay, so here's your temple building. Over here would be your Nicanor gate. First off, these people are standing with their backs to the Holy of Holies. And that just did not happen. We'll go through that provided we have enough time tonight. If not, next week. I mean, we've got about 25, 30 big questions that people never think about. But you see, here we have a silver roll. Over here we have a gold roll. See them? Okay? And the reason they have a handle is that there is a time element of here's the yesod right there. And they're going to pass these down as they come down. And then the last coin will throw the blood. He has to throw it above the yesod but below the Sovev. Here's the Sovev up here. This is where the walkway is around coming up. Now, one of the questions that people ask me frequently, well, do the priests kill all the lambs? No, it's not required that it be killed by the individual people, as you see here. You know, these are not kohanim, but it is preferred that it be by them. All right. So I'm going to give me a second, and I'm going to get another video up, and Gabriel Gallegos was here for Pesach and Shabbat, and we kind of walked through some of this, and he showed me a video, and so I called him today and asked him to send the video to me. Let's see. All right. Now we're going to watch this. I'm going to see a reenactment. All right.
למעמד הקרוב ביותר לדבר האמיתי.
ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על קידוש ידיים ורגליים. ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על הכתרת הקטורת. אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על הדלקת המנורה. ונפתח לפניך ושלוש פעמי יגלה והרינו. אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על קבלת אדם. שפיכת הדם. והשם ישראל עיוור, והשם ישראל עיוור. וחבר לפניך בשלוש פעמי יגלה. השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על ההכתרה.
שמשון, כן, הבעלים, למעשה הישראל פה בסיפור שיעניק את המתנות לכהן. מזמין את הרב ברוך כהנא, כהן, לקבל את המתנות.
באנו הנה היום בעשור לחודש הראשון כדי לתרגל את הקרבת קורבן הפסח, כדי שנהיה מוכנים ליום בו נקריב את הפסח באמת, כדי שתהיה לנו התנסות, כדי שנדע מה לעשות, כדי להרגיש במעט את החוויה העתיקה ההיא שעבדה למעמד הקרוב ביותר לדבר האמיתי.
ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על קידוש ידיים ורגליים. ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו על הכתרת הקטורת.
All right, I hope that that gave you somewhat of a sense of how it's done. Now, I want to read out of the Kahati Mishnah, And we're going to go to questions pretty soon, but here, I want to cover a little bit more before we do that. And next week, we're going to do this again, because now, if we're that close to the to a Passover lamb being offered, meaning not one but at least 50, then we need to know what's going on. Most people have no idea of how it was done, the complications with it. And it looks like tonight we're only going to get through the modern preparing for what's coming. But I want to take us back to the first century and develop at the end when it was at its height. What did they do? How did they do it? And we're trying to work it out, trying to figure it. Now, we did a reenactment here, very short, of this particular Mishnah, and I did it wrong. I learned since this weekend that I was doing it wrong. It says, an Israelite slaughtered, and the priest, the Kohen, received, and he handed it to his fellow, and his fellow to his fellow. You saw that in the video, and he would accept the full one and return the empty one. Now, my understanding before, and it was wrong, my understanding was that they would slaughter, they would have this line, there would be a Kohen that would catch the blood, and he would hand it to, basically, he would take one step and hand it off. Okay, and then that Kohen would take the bowl, and he would take one step and hand it off and so the line kept moving towards, the blood was moving from one Kohen to another Kohen to another Kohen till it came to the last Kohen before the altar. He would throw it against the altar, above the Yesod, below the Sovab, and then he would take the empty bowl back to the front, back to the where they're slaughtered. That's wrong. They passed it back. They passed it forward, and then they pass an empty one back. Okay? Now, when they do this, they've got, 4.5, 5 hours. Well, if they're doing for 50 Kohanim, no problem. It's going to be fairly simple for them to be able to do it in the time allotment. But let's say first year they have 50 people that come. What about when they have 1,000 come? Bringing the Pesach lambs. It's a little more complicated. And remember that you can only throw the blood on the north side and the western side because it has to be thrown above the Yesod, and that's the only location where the Yesod is, the foundation. So what if they had 10,000 lambs? What if they had 30,000 lambs? What if they had 100,000 lambs? We're going to start to have questions about, can they do it? How many lines could you have going around the altar? That has to be determined. How many priests, how far apart do they have to be? How many cubits on the Yesod do we have to allow per line? We have another question, is that they have to finish it by dark, and we have a specific time that they start. And in fact, I'll show you this, and then we're just going to tell you some of the questions that are coming up. All right. Let me find another set of papers here. And give me a second. Went through and kind of marked these sheets. Wrong set of papers. All right. Okay. Let me show you this. All right. So I asked on March 31st, 2026, sunrise in Jerusalem is at what time? What would be the time for sunset? So sunrise was at 6:04 a.m., sunset at 6:59. And so the day length is about 12 hours, 31 minutes of daylight. Civil dusk into visible daylight is at 7:22 p.m. Okay. If you're working with Second Temple style timing, we can also estimate first hour daylight between 6:04 and 7:07 a.m. First hour. Okay. Third hour. Third hour is the time for the morning shacharit between 8:11 in the morning and 9:14 a.m. The 6 hour, okay, 6 hour is very important because 6 hour is the time that they slaughtered the Pesach lambs. Now, we see the 6 hour is going to be at 12:43 p.m. Okay, 6 hour, 12:40. Excuse me, I told you wrong. It's the ninth hour that they slaughtered the Pesach lambs, and 3:46 to 4:49. Now, we're told in the Mishnah, let's read this. Okay, we'll come back to that. Wait a second. All right, let's stop sharing. Okay, so we're told in the Mishnah that they slaughtered the afternoon tamid and about 2:30 in the afternoon. Now that's in temple hours. Okay, so temple hours, 12 hours. You divide the minutes of daylight by 12, and you put that into hours, and each hour by 12. And so during the summer, your hours might be an hour and 10 minutes on our clock. Okay. But in the winter, in December, January, it could be as low as 50 or even in the 40s. It turns out that about this time of year, it's almost perfectly aligned with our hours, right at 60 minutes, 61, 64 minutes. Okay. So you can do the calculation and move it back. They slaughtered it at 2:30 is what time they would do the afternoon tamid, and then they would offer the offering up on the altar at 3 o'clock. Okay. Now they moved that back 1 hour because the reason that they did it at 2:30 and 3 o'clock is because in Numbers chapter 28, it says that you would slaughter a Bain HaErevim between the evenings. Okay. So evening starts at noon and goes to sundown. So between the evenings, that's the midway point. But we're told exactly the same thing on the Passover lamb. So they move the tamid back 1 hour and they start slaughtering the lambs at 2:30 in temple hours. And they go forward to sunset. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. We have numbers for the number of lambs that were killed. And this happens to be the Passover right before the temple was destroyed. And Josephus tells us there was 265,500 and something lambs killed. In the Tosafta and the Talmud, it gives you numbers way above that. We'll look at those next week. But here's what we have to do. We have to figure out how many stations can be around the altar on the north side and on the west side. We have a problem. On the west side, I'll just do it right here. But you see this stairway right here? That comes down to within 2 cubits of the. How are you going to get very many lines of priests that are passing those vessels back and forth to dump the blood? Okay, to do 265,000 lambs in about 4.5 hours, how many lambs would you have to kill per minute per line? Measure. It's going to come down to 45 lambs per minute per lamb per line. Okay, that means not only 45 lambs being slain, but 45 vessels being filled. And you've got this action of passing them, and you're also getting one coming back. So we're trying to figure out the mechanics of it. I mean, first year, first 2 years, first 3 years, but it's not going to take long till every family in Israel will be bringing Passover lambs. And Jews will be coming from all over the world bringing Passover lambs. I think once it starts, it's going to be gigantic. And I'm not saying it's going to be gigantic and there'll be no complications. All right, we're going to stop for tonight. This is the beginning of us discussing some of these problems, how to work out. What did we cover tonight? Well, we covered that you don't have to have a red heifer to do the Pesach, to do the Tamid, to do the special festival offerings. Okay, but other than that, you have to have a red heifer. The altar has to be on bedrock. We also covered that the Nicanor gate is not 20 cubits high, but it's 40 cubits high. And we gave one reason. There's actually 2 major ones. We'll try to work maybe that in a little bit. We'll see. But we also covered that we have to have at least 50 lambs. We can't have just one lamb. We have requirements that we have to follow. We mentioned about the priests can have their back turned. We're going to look at the evidence on that so we see where that comes from. And so here's some questions. We found out that there is no text that states they had a handle, but it's commonly accepted that they did. On the bowls, we'll find out the name for the bowls. We're going to find out how big these bowls were, how much blood had to go into them, how long it took for the blood to go in. We want to know where was the lamb position. In other words, where was its head? Where was its face? Where were its legs? Where was the one slaughtering it? Where would he be located? Where is the Kohen that's going to get the blood? How do they pass it? And a lot of little details. Where to have 45 lambs, if we get up to the, there's about 6 million Jews in Israel right now. And according to Josephus' number, there were only 2 million that came to the Passover right before it was destroyed. You can expect in the future numbers much greater than 2 million. So that brings up another question. Where is everybody going to eat their Passover meal? And how many can they fit that many people into that compact of an area? Do they have to be in the old city, or what's the answer there? What about the fuel? I mean, you cannot use an electric oven in order to roast this. Okay, so how are you going to do it? Where are the Passover ovens? What do they look like? How do you build an oven when you're 20 years old and you're going to use it till you're my age, 75? Or do you have to build a new oven each year? What about the fuel? Where's all this fuel, this wood going to come from? And how are you going to be able to hold these seders? I mean, the questions are by the buckets. Okay. All right. So we're going to go now. To some questions. All right. Before we start again, if you enjoyed this, please like it and share it. If you haven't hit the follow us button, then please do that. Also, if you would subscribe on YouTube. And I see Tim Smalley. I saw Tim Smalley and his wife sitting in front of me just a few days ago at our Seder. And he came down from West Central Indiana and had some Texas brisket. All right. Kosher Texas brisket. All right. Beth Ann Pritchard, she was here too. And so shalom, shalom. Priscilla Reed. Oh my goodness, look there. From Western Canada. And we have Jeff Bosberg, shalom, from East Lansing, Michigan. From Kenya. Wow. Wow. The last day of the Feast of Passover and unleavened bread. Oh, very good. I hope that we have more people come from Kenya, from all over Africa. I love to see people from Australia, from Asia, from everywhere, from the Ukraine, from Russia, from even Iran, if they could get on the internet. All right, Mike Fincher from Montana. Mike, get ready. When this war is over, we're going back to Israel. All right, from Greenwood, Arkansas. BH. All right. And Gabrielle from the Dallas area. Deb Galecta Heath from Wisconsin, from Beth Emanuel, First Fruits of Zion. Denise Perez. Shalom, everyone. Nicole Thompson. Oh my goodness, former from the state of Montana, now with her husband from North Carolina. All right, Mishnah Walk. That's Victor from Missouri. I know it, and I can't remember Barbara DeCamp's mother's name. Yeah, all right, and I will get that for you. Okay, I'll get that for you. Anne was here she was here for second Seder, Shabbat, Friday night, Saturday, and just went home 2 days ago. All right. This is from Gabrielle's congregation. I think it is. Maybe not. El Reno 7. All right. Shalom, family. Daryl Wade from Wichita, Kansas, and Gail Thomas from the Atlanta area. And then this is Ann Shepard again. Okay, Victoria Espeleta Lucas. Shalom, everyone. It is an exciting topic. Okay, Daryl, what do you mean? Who grants the permission? Oh, my guess. My guess it would have to be from the Israeli government, and they would have to override the Waqf. Okay, there is a Jordanian governing board known as the Waqf that has jurisdiction over the Temple Mount. Very, very touchy subject. I've been called into the wax office a couple of times. It's an experience. All right. All right. Thank God it's over. I'm not sure who this is, but Exodus 3, 6, 6, 3, and 7, 16, God of Hebrew. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, because thou art lukewarm, neither cold nor hot. I'll spew thee out of my mouth. I'm not sure what the message is there. Okay. He'll quote Korban Pesach 7:1-8. So when you see he'll quote, it means Mishnah Torah. Okay. And also from the Mishnah, Ediot 8:6. I've got to look that one up. Okay. Thank you, Victor. Darren Anthony, shalom from New York City. Wow. Question. I apologize if we covered it in the past few weeks. If Yeshua is not biologically descended from Joseph, how does he claim descent from Solomon? Isn't royal descent patrilineal? Yes, it is. He has descent from Solomon, but that descent takes him through the line of Yoshiaku or Josiah, and then his son Jehoiakim, and his grandson Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim was the last king that had children. He had Shealtiel and male children, Shealtiel, and then his grandson was Zerubbabel, who we read about in the book of Zechariah, Ezra. There are several different places that it mentions him. Joseph's descended from them, but no king from no descendant from that line can sit on the throne. So Joseph could not be his literal father, or that would have disqualified Yeshua. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, now Rambam, again, this is going to be Mishneh Torah. He'll quote Beit HaBikkurah 113. You have a whole section on the temple that's called Sefer Abadah, and it is the first book in Sefer Abadah. He'll quote Beit HaBikkurah, and it deals with the layout of the temple, but it's going to address some of these things, 113. And Midot 3:1, okay? Okay, replying to Darren Anthony, Gabrielle, there is a teaching on this topic on our YouTube channel. Great teachings that will help you understand this subject. And you can also, if you remember Jerusalem Temple Study, you can go in and there's several teachings that are there that you can download, you can watch. Some of the older teachings that we did on this topic will not be on YouTube. Okay. All right. Only 2 thumbs up. Okay. Now 20, 21. Thank y'all. That's Gabrielle that put that there with the smiley face. All right. Full videos also shows information on how the altar must be lowered to allow for the red heifer service on the Mount of Olives to be done in view of the Ulam. Victor, you're going to have to send me the full video. Mine cuts off. Okay. And so, all right. Matzah lasagna. Yeah, coffee and matzah bread. Okay, Beth Ann's asking, is a video available online? My understanding it is, and I think that Victor was going to put it up in the chat. Betty Brush from Beth Emanuel, also in Wisconsin. Dan Solis from Plano. Dan, I hope your Seder was great. All of you, I hope your Seder was great. Elka Espino Diaz del Castillo. Shalom. And Elka, where are you located from? Okay. Betty Brush, thank you so much for showing us how they are doing the Pesach offering. And again, that's from Hudson. Alice Turnbull from Alberta, Canada. Wow, I love the Canadians. Okay, Rod Kuzman is asking, how do you share? I used to know. I'm not understanding about share. Yeah, Rod, if you can just elaborate on your question. I'm not sure. Okay. Prayer of healing request for the following: Grayson Jeffords, son of Lisa; Justin Hotz, son of Kitty or Catherine; Barbara DeCamp. And Barbara is Justin's aunt. And they lost their mother, Catherine and Barbara, back about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I'll get her name for you. Special request for Daniel Riccone and her two daughters. Yes. Desiree Morton from South Carolina. Desiree, it's good to have you. Victor Suarez. And Victor was here for the Seder. And shalom to you. Richard Setzinger. Thank you, Richard. All right. And that's out of Arkansas, by the way. Daryl Parks. I suppose the Haggadah will have to be rewritten as well. Why would the Haggadah have to be rewritten? You mean if they start doing a Pesach lamb? Hey, they might expand it. I don't know. It's a good question. I like that. Okay, Anne has a question. It has to do with the daily offering. Do each of the families bring 2 lambs a day, or do the priests sacrifice for all? Okay, so if you have, today we can have as many people at a Seder as we want. Okay, we have a part in the Haggadah that's called Halak Ma'anya. Let me read Halak Ma'anya to you. Okay. Use a Maxwell House Haggadah. All right. This is Halat Mani. It's the first part of the section called Magi. This is the bread of affliction which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt, that all those who are hungry enter and eat. It's open to everyone now, whether you're circumcised, not circumcised, because the requirement was that you had to be circumcised, meaning a part of the Jewish people, not just surgically circumcised, but a part of the Jewish people legally. In order to eat the Passover lamb. So the minimum number was 10, the maximum number was 20. So if you had 10, 1 lamb would suffice. But if you had over 15, people would bring a second lamb called the Hagigah, and they would offer that, so that not only did they, that second animal can be the sheep or a goat. And so it says, come and celebrate, enter in need, all who are in need, come and celebrate the Passover. At present, we commemorate it here, but next year we hope to celebrate in the land of Israel. This year we are servants here, but next year we hope to be free people in the land of Israel. And that is, by the way, what is actually being said is that once again the temple will be there. The people are bringing Passover offerings. at the latter porta. That section, Halat Ma'anya, was put in after the temple was destroyed. And so the I'm rereading your question. I was answering this wrong. I thought you were asking specific to Pesach, but it has to do with the daily offering. That's the tamid. So you have one lamb in the morning, one lamb in the afternoon, and the priest do it. There are 13 priests that are going to participate in the morning tamid service. Four of them, they're divided into two groups. One group goes into the temple building. They light the menorah and they burn the incense. They prepare the altar of incense and they burn it. The second group is going to deal with the lamb that is slaughtered. And so between the two of them, you have 13 altogether. The afternoon, I'm not sure exactly the number of kohanim, but it probably is 13 also. Also on Pesach, are those offerings also done? Yes, they moved them earlier. Okay, so the shacharit is regular time, but the minha is moved back 1 hour. Okay, that's in Tractate Pesachim. Magda, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, from Davenport, Florida. All right. And Magda, it's good to talk to you. All right, Virginia Anderson chiming in from Shalom Redlands, California. All right. JR7H17. I'm not sure who that is. Since only the altar is needed to bring the carbine, is there a limit on time on how long this can be done until the temple can be rebuilt fully? Well, part of it depends on what you're talking about. The temple rebuilt fully. Okay, because the first temple, they had enormous work to do because they had to level the top of the mount. So they had to build. It took 200 years. When we started in the 10th century BCE, and we believe that it was completed about the time of King Hezekiah or Hezekiah in the 8th century BCE. And so now for your inner courtyard, anciently, it would take numbers of years. We know at this point that somewhere around 35 BCE is when Herod started renovating the temple. He started first with the Fortress Antonia, and then he went through, and it's not until right before the destruction of the temple in the into the 60s that the temple was actually completed. So that's almost 100 years just for that. Here's what the Holocaust will be determined by. Okay, they have to progressively work on it. There was a period in the early second temple with Ezra that the people had stopped working on it, but here's the deal: you have a standing command to build, and so without a doubt, it will continue from the point until it's finished. But they'll be able, starting with the altar, but they will very quickly move to the more necessary other buildings, like the temple building itself. They will probably build one of the corner buildings because they deal with administration and so forth. Next, they might be able to construct all four of them at the same time, but it will be an active building project. Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions that have come in. but be thinking of your questions about this and the other korbanot. It's time. I'm going to wrap this up right here. But if you really believe the temple is going to be built, if you believe that that is of God, and I, with all my heart, I believe that it is the plan of God and that it is prophesied in the scripture. I do not believe it is the temple of the false Messiah. Just as when Antiochus occupied the temple, he desecrated it, but it's never called the temple of Antiochus. It is the temple of Hashem. And so it's time to learn. It's time that mentally, that's a part of the building process. Is not only do we have to prepare the grounds, prepare the materials, we have to prepare ourselves. So may the rest of your Pesach be tremendous. May the days following and the counting of the Omer be tremendous. Okay. And I believe we're on day 6 now of the counting of the Omer. So shalom, everyone. And thank you for being with me. Shalom, shalom.